As many of you who follow this channel know, I am the Uber Bull, the optimist among optimists, willing to be ridiculed for my outrageous predictions and prognostications. And among those, and maybe even at the top of some people's list, is my observation that I believe the ice age will end in 2027. In other words, that after 2027, there might be a smattering of cars in niche situations, cars and trucks, to be clear, in niche situations that will still be petrol driven, but they will be the odd ones out. So agreeing with me is Cathie Wood and her team. They've done massive amounts of research, probably more research than anybody else, and they've come to the same conclusion. I have not based my conclusion on their conclusion. I've done my own homework, my own research, as you'll see. And it's unique. I don't think anybody else has done it the way I've done it. Others think it'll be 2030 before the magic happens. That would include even Elon Musk. Now, he may think it's going to happen sooner, but he's conservative and says 2030. And there are others that are in that particular group. There's a whole bunch of folks that think it'll be 2035. I think after you see the chart that I'm going to put up, you'll think that's really ludicrous. I think it's only fair, if I'm going to have this theory, that I spell it out in detail, which is what I'm going to do today. Then that allows you and or anybody else out there to take pot shots at the details and say, well, I don't think that can happen, therefore your theory's wrong, as opposed to just saying in general, oh, what are you talking about, Randy? Okay, so this is Randy Kirk, in case you haven't figured that out. And if you like this kind of content, if it's useful, helpful, or even entertaining, please hit the like button. Down below, you're going to notice I am now listing in sometimes a week in advance what the episodes are that are coming up. If you like some of those episodes, you could hit subscribe and notify, and that way you'll be notified when they occur. And I'm doing 2 shows a day. It takes a lot of work. I've got editors in the Philippines that help me out with this show that need to be paid. And so if you would like to help out the show, in addition to helping out the show just by liking, by watching, those things definitely help the show to be more successful. But maybe you'd like to join Patreon, which would help even more. It's only $5 a month. All right, let's dig into it. There are some underlying assumptions in the numbers I'm going to show you. Now, the numbers I'm going to show you is going to be a list of 15 car companies and what I think they're going to do year by year in terms of sales of EV cars between now and 2027 in order to reach this goal. And then there's going to be a bunch of additional companies, so I'm not going to give the detail because they're smaller and it's really hard to know anything about expectations. But the 15 car companies that I give expectations are based in some general way on their own statements about what they're planning to do over the next several years, or where there have been no statements by them, kind of looking at their current ramp, their current direction. What are they doing per year? How are they increasing that? What kind of additional vehicles have they already said will be in production soon, et cetera, in order to come up with the numbers? Okay, so here are my assumptions. Number one, all of the cars will have sticker prices they will have sticker prices that are equal to or less than the similar ICE car that is in that particular category. And they'll have that by next year. Now, Tesla is already there, at least with their current pricing. I am expecting, as you know, for Tesla's pricing to increase a little bit this year, and it may get back to the point where the Model Y is above exact parity with some of the models that might be considered equivalent in the ICE ranges. But by 2024, I think Tesla will be under the sticker price across the board. And I think all of these other car companies will recognize they have to be there in order to make this work. And that'll happen primarily because some of the commodities are coming down, battery prices are coming down. As these companies ramp, they'll be able to afford to lower their prices just as Tesla has done. So that's number one in terms of the assumptions. Number two assumption is there will be enough batteries to get out this many cars on the road. We're talking about 65 million or so cars that will need to be made in 2027 in order to hit the end of the ICE age, Yes, I know there's 80 million cars a year, 85 million cars a year are sold, but by the end of 2027, the run rate will be such that in 2028, there won't be any need for these companies or other companies to make any petrol cars. All right, so there will be enough batteries. So that's an issue. That's number two. There will be enough batteries to make this happen. I think there will be. I'm not going to go into that today. That's a video for a different day, but every indication right now is that maybe the only limiting factor continues to be lithium refining. Tesla says that they're going to start actually producing product out of this new factory in Texas, refined lithium by January. If that's true, they could ramp, or other companies could follow suit with what Tesla's doing in Texas. So I think the lithium issue is going to go away. It's just that Tesla apparently would rather have some help refining lithium rather than doing it all themselves, which is why Elon keeps saying, please get out there and build yourself a lithium refining plant. All right. So I think there's going to be plenty of batteries. That's assumption number two. Number three, the battery tech will be good enough in 2024 that we'll no longer have any of the fires and other kinds of issues with batteries. You have CATL and BYD and Tesla and others that are well along in the capabilities of manufacturing batteries. I think these issues will start to become non-issue, Panasonic, et cetera. Okay, so I'm not terribly worried about that, but that's my assumption. The companies will actually have some failure products between now and then. They'll come out with a bunch of different models. Some of those products will not, they'll be ugly. They won't have the right range. They won't have the right combination of range and good looks, or they won't be right for the market at that point in time. They won't be able to get enough to get to mass production, enough sales to get to mass production. So there's going to be some failures along the line, but my assumption is that they'll learn from their failures and that by 2026, these companies will be on a ramp rate where they're ramping up their winners by 50% a year. These are all experienced car companies who should be able to ramp at least 50% per year once they've got the right car in the right markets. They should be able to do that quite easily. Assumption number 5 and last, China and the US make up almost 50% of all the car sales in the world. China's already well into the S-curve with about 30% adoption overall. We're talking about 30+% of all cars sold in China are already BEVs. I would assume that will be an early, their situation will be early. They'll be getting to 100% BEVs way before the rest of the world now because they're already so far along. I mean, with the exception of places like the Netherlands and Denmark, who are sitting at something like 70%. I think it's 70% Tesla, but 70% are more BEVs at this point. So there's a few smaller countries that are exceptions, but China as a large user will get there. So who else needs to get there? My assumption is that the rest of the United States, besides the West, the 6 Western states are way ahead of the rest of the US. This assumes that the rest of the US will get smart once they see that there's sticker parity. It also assumes that Japan will jump on board because they do 4 million cars a year. It's not close to the US or China in terms of numbers, but they are number 3. And they would pretty much need to get on board by 2025 in terms of beginning to purchase in quantity. I think that will happen as well. So those are my assumptions. Now we're going to do the magic where I always mess up. We are going to share screen. I should just practice this sometime, right? Wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't you guys like it if I practiced it someday? Because I am now sharing screen, but I got to get rid of all this stuff so that you guys can see the numbers here. All right, here we go. So at the top of the page, of course, is Tesla. I didn't change some of my earlier assumptions here. I'm sorry. So don't pay any attention to the number that follows the company. I was thinking Tesla might be able to get to 12 million. I rethought it and I wanted to be conservative. So I got Tesla at 11. You'll see that in column B. They get there by doing 3.2 in, I'm sorry, I should move this down just a little bit. Here we go, 2024. So 2024, they should get to 3.2 million. Some of you will think that that's aggressive, but remember in 2024, they will be well into their ramp of the Cybertruck in addition to continuing the ramp of the Model Y at both Austin and Berlin, and they will be into the ramp of the semi-truck. So getting to 3.2 million in 2024, I think is a no-brainer. Then I've got them just doing a regular 50% ramp after that to get to 11 million by 2027. BYD has been incredibly aggressive. BYD should be at 2.5 easily by 2024. And then I've got them ramping roughly at 50%. They might be more aggressive than that. Who knows? They might catch Tesla at some point. I'm assuming that their hybrid sales are going to go away, and it might be reasonable to expect that they'll be able to replace hybrid sales with BEV sales in China easier than replacing ICE cars. Okay, I've got Volkswagen in fourth. I originally had them, I'm sorry, in third. I originally had them in fifth, I think, and I moved them up because they're already making quite a few cars. I'm thinking they can get to 1.7 by 2024 based on their current sales. That, again, with a ramp of around 50% a year, could get them to 6 million by 2027. Then we've got a bunch of companies, I got a couple of companies here at 5 million by then. I think these are going to maybe surprises to you. Maybe they won't be, but Geely is very, very, very aggressive. They're not as aggressive as BYD, but they're aggressive. They own Volvo and Polestar, or they own controlling interest in Volvo and Polestar. Geely also makes a bunch of different cars in China and smaller markets around the world. I think that they can easily get to 1.5 by 2024 and then ramp to 6. I'm sorry, is that 6? Yes, to 5, I mean. And then high-end Kia. I might have them too low on the list. They might actually should be higher. They are extremely aggressive in their statements. They're extremely aggressive in the cars that they're already producing. They've got quite a few successful models on the road right now. The South Koreans are really good at this. So it could be that this number is too low for them. I've got them the same as Geely at 1.5 going to 5. Then I've got GM, Ford, and Stellantis, also Toyota, all at 3 for various different reasons. So GM, I think that, I'm not a big fan of Mary. I think they're still going to be struggling, but they should be able to get to 700,000. It looks like I've failed to make these numbers bigger. So excuse me for that. There we go. So I think they can get to 700,000 by 2024. Maybe I'm understating. Maybe I'm being too conservative. And then they should ramp and get to 3. Ford, I think they'll get to 1 million easily in 2024 with their current offerings. Stellantis could be a sleeper. This is one, they don't get a lot of press. They're not very noisy out there. They're not looking for press. They have a lot of brands. They are Chrysler and all the Chrysler brands. And they have a bunch of other brands. So I've got them down for only 1 million in 2024. That could be low. And they could actually do better than this. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them do better than either GM or Ford, but maybe not as well as Hyundai. Okay, then you get into a bunch of the smaller companies, Mercedes, Honda, BMW. These folks are all, much smaller in terms of their unit volume than the majors that are above. I would say that Mercedes is realistically quite ready and anxious to get into the game. Honda, not so much. Oh, I should go back to Toyota. Toyota is in this group because why? Because they haven't started. I mean, they are so far behind. I think I got them ramping a lot faster. Once they get in it, I'm expecting them to be able to ramp faster. And maybe even after 2027, they'll ramp faster. But they're way, way behind and they could be in trouble. But these other companies, these smaller companies, I think they'll get in and they'll do fine and get up to maybe a couple of million, which is in the ballpark of what they sell now. Renault, a little bit less, another smaller company. Nissan might not make it. Nissan's in some financial trouble. They may not be at the party, and some of these other ones may not make it to the party because of their balance sheet issues that they have. Now I've got 8 million in other. In order to get to 65, these are just a few of the names: Rivian, NIO, XPeng, Li. These are some of the bigger options out there that might add to that 8 million, but there are still maybe 100 other smaller companies, at least the vast majority of which are in China, that are, making a few cars or more than a few cars. Of course, there's, I forget the name of it. There's that company that General Motors owns part of that makes that little $5,000 car. There's going to be a few more of those, I think, coming along for China and maybe for India and Indonesia and some other places as well. I'm not really counting those in the numbers right now because they're really not replacing the 80 million that are being sold. They're really, I think, going to be on top of. They're going to be people buying those $4,000 and $5,000 cars that have never owned a car before. So it's an addition to the marketplace. Now, all of this changes this. You understand that everything on this list assumes no robotaxi. So everything that Tesla is going to do, all of those numbers, they will get to those numbers with no robotaxi. This would be the 11 million would probably be on the order of 500,000 Model 3s, 3 million Model Ys, and maybe 7 million combined of the new Gen 3 platform, which would be some hatchbacks, some small trucks, some vans, et cetera, that will all be on that platform. That's without any kind of assumptions with regard to robotaxi being out there. I don't know if Tesla will find a way to ramp even faster if they do get to the robotaxi working and the robotaxi system started, or whether this will still be kind of the general direction of the ramp. But obviously, it all becomes a lot easier for Tesla if they do have robotaxi. Okay, so I'm looking for your comments. Please, I love comments. I love to hear what you have to say. Which one of these companies cannot do what I just pointed out there? I think I've been conservative. I think all of this is extremely doable. There will be some companies that will do better. I think Hyundai Kia has a chance to do a lot better. GM and Ford might even do better. I think Stellantis has a chance to do a lot better. I think BYD might continue to really ramp fast. They're having some trouble with some of their cars because of these fast ramps, but we'll see. VW, they're a real sleeper. Who knows what VW will end up doing because they've had so many management changes and issues. They obviously intend to be a major in this category, and they are. I've got them down for number 3 in terms of the long term. So we'll see, but the numbers could go up, they could go down. What do you think? Where have I messed up? Tell me who I forgot. Maybe I left somebody out of this list. I would love to hear your comments. In the meantime, please, if you like this, if this was helpful, please like, please hit the subscribe button, notify, and of course, come on now, I need some folks to join Patreon. It's only $5. Hey, it's been great talking to you.